ID, and I just didn't like the way it felt in my hands and how it shot. So
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here today for this important announcement. This is a joint announcement by myself and Councilmember Mike Burbanica of District 2. And so both of us serve on the Antioch Transitional Housing Ad Hoc Committee. But unfortunately, he had a procedure that's getting done today, so he couldn't be here with us today. But he is fully supportive of what we will be discussing here today, and so we'll go from there. So a few days ago, a lifelong Antioch resident on the streets, a few days ago, a lifelong Antioch resident living on our streets was tragically killed by a train trying to get to a public restroom at the city's Veteran Memorial and Marina. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's right over there. The tracks are right by the Veterans Memorial. And so last Monday, I attended a candlelight vigil outside of City Hall in his honor and had the opportunity to speak to members of his family to offer my condolences. And members of the Rocha family are here with us today. And I've had the opportunity of speaking to his brother Mike and his sister Kathy over the phone. On Tuesday, I opened our first in-person meeting in the City Hall Council chambers in memory of Mr. Louie Rocha. So we had a moment of silence for him. His death, along with many other similar deaths throughout the country, symbolizes everything that is contrary to our American values. Individualism doesn't doesn't free me or any of you from the greater good, or the we, which is needed for community cohesion. In January of 1981, 3 months before I was born, President Ronald Reagan famously proclaimed in his first inaugural address to the nation, "Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem." In my humble opinion, President Reagan couldn't have been more wrong. When I was born in prison, the state government provided me stability by placing me in foster care with the appropriate support systems until I was 18 years old. Thank God government stepped up to help me when I had no one else to turn to. While things weren't easy growing up poor by any stretch of the imagination, it was the stability government provided that allowed me to join the Navy and succeed. Later, it was government that created the stability for me to complete college using federal grants and loans. And it was government that provided me and my family the opportunity to purchase our first home right here in the great city of Antioch. Since President Reagan, every president since him, including members of my own political party, have overseen major cuts and reforms in the social safety net of our country, which has helped push and keep many more people into poverty, housing insecurity, and homelessness. In Antioch, we have not shied away from this issue of homelessness. Over the last 2 years, the city has worked on leasing the old Executive Inn on 18th Street to provide housing with the appropriate wraparound services to provide temporary stability for those living on our streets so that they can get back on their feet. It's been about 1.5 years since we started this process. Tomorrow, the Antioch Planning Commission will be meeting to discuss this very important issue. If all goes well, the item then moves to the City Council after 30 days. So today, I'm announcing a joint proposal by Councilmember Burbanica and I called the Louie Rocha Emergency Housing Plan, which authorizes an additional $300,000 towards homeless services, specifically to secure 15 rooms from Contra Costa County at the Motel 6 in Pittsburgh for individuals living along active railroad tracks in and around downtown Antioch. So we're specifically talking about this corridor right along here. So to speak a little more about the specific program details, I'm going to hand it over to Jasmine Ridley, who serves as the city's unhoused resident coordinator. So with that, I'll pass it over to Jasmine.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jasmine Ridley, and I'm the unhoused resident coordinator here in the city of Antioch. This weekend, the city outreach focused along these rail lines in response to the most recent tragedy. The outreach team shared gloves and warm socks and reinforced the dangers of living along the railroad tracks. We also provided an update on future housing opportunities. Abbreviated interviews were conducted to allow for placement on the city's interest list. Many of our unhoused residents are in search of stable housing. We have provided short-term motel vouchers to address immediate needs. As of today, we are housing a total of 22 people and 6 pets for short-term stays. Our outreach efforts have been positively received. Matching needs with resources was welcomed, especially given the low temperatures during this time of year. Upon reaching out over the weekend, we were able to meet with several people who were very interested in the program and willing to get indoors. One of the examples that impacted us the most was a man who has been outside for several years, trying to improve his life and really willing to get indoors so that he can reunite himself with his child who lives outside of the state. Another was a woman who's been living along the railroad tracks. She's been outdoors, living in tents, and her efforts were also to get indoors so that she can be reunited with her son who suffers from mental illness. And with this, the impacts of living outdoors is not only unsafe, but it keeps people away from their families and having a stable living. And that's something we want to be able to help out with. The former Motel 6 in Pittsburgh, now referred to as Delta Landing Interim Housing, will reopen its doors early next month. The program includes wraparound support services, including medical services, benefit assistance, behavioral health services, case management, housing navigation, and rapid rehousing assistance. The city appreciates the chance to collaborate with Contra Costa Health, Housing, and Homelessness Team to leverage local resources to Antioch's unhoused residents. We sincerely appreciate the chance to find ways to work better together and strengthen our service model. Potential action regarding the MOU between the city and the county will be on December 14th council agenda with a recommendation for approval by the Transitional Housing Ad Hoc Committee. Thank you for your time.
Okay, so I have to be completely honest. This, oh, Kenny's here. Kenny's going to the hotel.
All right, good.
Yay, Kenny. All right, so so I'm excited that some of the names that I heard over from Jasmine were people that I actually know. And so I know that there'll be other folks who are going and who will hopefully benefit from this program. So I'm pretty excited. We know who our unhoused residents are. Ron Burnell, our city manager, knows folks by name. Our police department knows folks by name. Our abatement teams know folks by name. We know who these individuals are. These are our neighbors. And so it's important that we work tirelessly to ensure that they have the support systems that they need. This program is not going to work if we continue to allow this to be a dangerous haven where people can reside. I'm going to say that again, and I really hope every single homeless advocate, every single person who in their heart is doing the work of the Lord by feeding folks down here, providing them with toiletries and whatnot, recognize that this is a dangerous location for anybody to be residing. So I need folks to understand that as we work to push people towards the hotel, move them to get stability, it's important for you to hopefully partner with us to ensure that we get folks there. Feeding people here, having people be here is not safe. We can't allow that to happen we just can't allow that. This is just too much, it's just too dangerous. And so we'll work tirelessly to ensure that that happens. In addition to today, our police department, our code enforcement, and our abatement team will be meeting to produce a plan to proactively serve as a referral mechanism to these programs and to ensure that folks aren't living along the railroad tracks here, because it's much, much too dangerous. We have to provide balance by providing opportunity, but also the mechanism to encourage folks to move to the hotel. So, as Jasmine mentioned, this goes for council action on the 14th. To those who are advocates, I encourage you to participate in that meeting. I encourage you to submit public comment because this is not, while we're recruiting folks and getting people into the program, it still needs the final stamp of approval from the entire city council. Myself and Councilmember Burbanica are committed to this program. And lastly, I want to again offer my condolences to the Rocha family. It was unacceptable. This wasn't the failure of a railroad track. This wasn't the failure of a city hall. This wasn't the failure of an advocate. This wasn't the failure of me or you. This was a failure of our collective community, that we've allowed people to be on our streets. This is everybody's responsibility. We have to encourage and work hard to get people into housing. So with that, Mike, or if any of the family members want to say anything, you're more than welcome to share your thoughts today.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank everybody for the mayor for getting this word out. And I see, I'm not sure your name. I met you last week, but you're the sweetest and nicest guy that I've heard in a long time. True, sweet, nice, and deserve a place to stay. You know, you helped my brother out, and I thank you for that. And I thank you for the help that we're trying to get, you know, through the city and making things right. I know everything can't go perfect. The homeless are really, really difficult to work with and work around. You know, I've been dealing with it for 30 years. And I just want to thank you for getting the word out, Mayor. And that's about it.
All right, with that, we've announced it. Starts on the 16th, this program. In the interim, folks will be staying at the executive inn as we transition them to the hotel. Any questions?
Yeah.
Seeing none? Oh, you have a question.
I just want to make sure my camera's rolling before I ask. What are the ways that you're letting the unhoused residents that live along this corridor know about their options?
Both our assistant city manager and our unhoused resident coordinator were up and down the railroad tracks and through downtown this past weekend.
Oh, okay, so they already know about it.
Yes. They already know about it. As well as, I don't want to leave out, Ron Brown came towards the tail end of their outreach efforts, but he was out there as well. So thank you, Ron, and these are, this is our city manager, our assistant city manager, and our coordinator out here doing the work on the ground. So we appreciate all of the work that you're doing on that. So we'll continue to get the word out. And by the way, the best word of mouth is through our neighbors without houses. They communicate with each other pretty effectively. So they've been helping get the word out as well. So thank you. Anything else? Seeing none.
Hey, Commissioner, you bring up the subject of the people who are trying to reunite with their children. So is there like a management as far as who's going to get put in the hotel first, as far as like the elders and those, most vulnerable to the situation? The gentleman there, very concerned with that because he's been trying to get back with his daughter. But when I understand, he was on the top of the list. For some reason, he was put under the assessment like he smartest species on this planet, brother. It's time for us to start using our knowledge and turn it into wisdom.
Right. I'll say that. We will be the referral source for the 15 rooms. So it'll only be Antioch city staff that refers people over. It won't be the county. It won't be anybody. It's just Antioch city staff. But did you want to talk more about it?
So at the time of the facility's opening at the interim housing location, there will be 15 opportunities open to the city at once. The individuals placed in that location will then be part of receiving services and moving outward from that initial placement to a more stable and permanent housing approach. The timing that it will take is based on individual needs and a customized approach, but on average it's anticipated approximately 120 days for people to work through the services and be successfully placed. What will happen as each bed becomes available from that initial placement, there will be people on the list that are served with the opportunity. So depending on the time it takes for successful placement, new rooms will be available on an ongoing basis for up to a 1-year period as currently conceived. Thank you.
All right. With that, we will wrap this up. Thank you, everybody, for participating.
Security alert. Please be aware of your surroundings and report any unattended baggage or suspicious activity to the conductor or station agent.
Man, Taco Tuesday. Taco spots in Antioch. Oh, your house? I'm on my way.
Yeah, I make the bomb jerk chicken tacos.
There's a fella.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm from Venice Beach, man. So I grew up islanders. So the first thing
Got to do my remarks in Spanish. Telemundo, a new restaurant here when we show up, so I do them in Spanish for them.
he got the real tie. That's not even a clip on.
Man, it's not even the clip on.
I would have had a clip on.
Man, I'm already on that. I'm in the t-shirt.
But I'm an ex-bouncer, so if I didn't
I got a COVID. Thank you for the question. Yeah.
Hey, choke you out with your own tie.
It's not that important. Come back tomorrow, brother.
It's hard. Look at those things. Bro, I'm sorry about your t-shirt, sir. I didn't mean it. I apologize. It's all my fault. Don't hurt me.
Hey, that's $1,000 tie.
I don't know, man. I'm about this one.
$20. Yeah, hey, yours is okay.
Yeah, but I don't
That
have
was
a handle.
no, the expensive ones don't have it. These expensive ones don't have a handle. It's like that. It's an extra.
It's all right.
I'm in the field, so I'm like, I buy these things, so if they break, I don't care. $1,000, I'd be crying.
I was all on my feet. There goes my investments. Here we go. It's all right. Sturdy tiger. I don't know. Oh, it's not even been an hour yet. I thought it's already been an hour.
Yeah, she did come back on Sunday. Yeah, we had a good time. Actually, I guess I was late, so they had somebody else. Oh, they did? Okay, well, let me know when you're going to do it. I'd love to hear it. Yeah, we'll have another. Okay. Yeah, you guys will finish. I'll let you know when that's. Yeah, it was good to meet your daughter, too.